the Know Your Gear podcast. Today's episode of the Know Your Gear podcast is brought to you by Patreon members, channel members, and viewers who like and subscribe. Thank you for making this possible.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Know Your Gear podcast on Friday, October 11th. I hope you guys had a fantastic week. It's been a while since I've seen you. A week. It's been a week. We have stuff today. We have winners for the contest. As you guys know, and now into the end of the year, send us pictures of you and your new Know Your Gear swag, or make your own swag. Just send us some pictures. Maybe try to be funny. Maybe try to be cool. Maybe don't try to be either one of those things. I don't know. Anyway, send it to us at askknowyourgear@gmail.com. And if we pick you, you win a prize. And more importantly, if we don't pick you, we're going to have a randomizer picking like probably a couple dozen prizes, at least a dozen prizes, just randomly. So you're entered to win, and it can be a picture of anything at that point. Well, you know what I mean. Don't say anything to the internet. Okay. So, all right, we have cool stuff to talk about. We have a guitar of the week that'll be fun with a subject. I think that's something new today. I want to do guitar of the week, but like prompt a subject. I have some early riser questions. I have questions sent to the week. Amanda's grabbing me questions as well. Let's see. Okay, let's get into the first early riser question. The first one I saw, first post today on today's show, was from Jeremy, who said he's basically, what is he saying? Hey Phil, I am on the fence about whether I should invest in at least an 8-slot isolated power source. So he's talking about a power supply for pedal board for pedals, or what does he want to do? An 8-slot isolated power source for his pedals, or a like-priced multi-effects unit. Right now I have 10 pedals I like. Okay, and I believe there was a second piece to this. He says the one spot, he's talking about the wall wart. So you guys know one spot makes a 9-volt power plug. I think it's 1,300 milliamps. It's what I use, so it's pretty good. I used just a Boss 9-volt pedal I had for years, and then I got a one spot. Anyways, he says he has that, and it's good for about 2 pedals, and then the signal gets weird and noisy. It depends on what you're plugging into it, because like I said, Jeremy, the main thing is not how many volts, it's the milliamps. That's the big deal. So the one spot, I can go grab mine, but to be honest with you, I can just Google one spot power supply. And let's see. I'm going to share with you guys. Look at that. Sharing the internet with you guys. Let's see what the specifications is. 9 volts, 1,700 milliamps. So 500 more than I thought. So basically, Jeremy, your problem could be, let's just talk about, you using the gear you have first. Okay. So the first problem is you have to understand is that it's not even that you have 17 milliamps. Okay. It's that as you get closer to that, it could have noise, in my experience, okay? For the most part, you should be able to get away with that. So, in other words, what you have to do, Jeremy, is some basic just math on your pedals. Don't look it out. They're all 9 volt. At least they should be, because you shouldn't be plugging in the one spot into a chain, anything other than 9 volt. But you want to start adding up the milliamps. So you might have a pedal like a Strymon. I don't know. I'm just guessing. Anything with a screen. I can tell you what sucks milliamps, man. It's screens. So if you have a pedal with a screen, that could be 1,000 milliamps right there. Just boom, just taking that right there. So if you plug that into the chain and that takes 1,000, and then you have another pedal, most of these pedals take like 40 milliamps or something. It's not very much. But anyways, you basically got to add that up, because if you have a 500 milliamp pedal and a 1,000 milliamp pedal, and then there you go, you're almost peaked out. So that could be your problem there. So just be aware of that. In my experience, the one spots are pretty quiet, pretty good, but not perfect, okay? You're going to hear people say they suck. You're going to hear people say they're great. The reality is, most of the time they're great. Sometimes they suck. It's not a perfect thing. That's why it's what was it, $26? Which is funny. Let me go back to that. Hold on a second. I got to see that. $19. $19. These were $19 before COVID. So that tells you that just, that's a pretty good thing. And then $26.99 is right with the daisy chain. Anyone looking for a good, wall wart plug for your pedals with the daisy chain, I recommend this highly. It's what I use. I use it in videos all the time. It's pretty good. Like I said, pretty good. It's not great, but I don't think $26.99 is ever going to be great. Okay. Back to your second problem. So you're thinking about getting an isolated power supply or a multi-unit. I caution you on the multi-units. I was mentioning a couple episodes ago, there was a viewer named Jeff, and I was like doing the Jeff to Jeff jokes. Apologize, Jeff, because Eddie Izzard is a stand-up comedian. Eddie Izzard had this great line, and it says, people either have techno joy or techno fear. Okay, they either think technology is going to solve their problems and the greatest thing ever, or technology is just the bane of their existence and it's a headache. So what I would suggest to you is exactly that. If you are a techno joy person, if you're like, man, the only thing better than a row of pedals is a digital thing, get that. Get the processor, maybe go that route. But if you have 10 pedals you said you liked, that you enjoy, why not just get an isolated power supply? The one I use is the Chucks. I believe it's Chucks. Like I said, my Hooked on Phonics goes to nuts mode when I see their spelling, CIOKS. Quite expensive units for sure. To give you a reference, let me go back to the website. To give you a reference, Sweetwater gave me one when Rob Scallon did the Guinness Book of World Records. I gotta say it right. Don't get in trouble. I actually signed a contract so that I wouldn't mess it up. Guinness Book of World Records for the largest pedal board ever. And they sent me a piece of the pedal board. And on it was this Chucks, if I'm saying it right, power supply. I absolutely loved it. So I bought a second power supply. So I have two of them and I have two different ones. So the ones I have, go here. Oh, look, right here. Whatever this bundle is, I have both of these. For no other the reason, this is going to be the dumbest reason to suggest one or the other. I can tell you which one I like more just off of that. I just like having that plug on it. So this one, which is $249, has 7 isolated ones. You said you need 8. I believe they're isolated. I could be inaccurate on that, but like I said, they sound great. Some might be isolated, some might not be. Where's the other one? So if that one's $249, where's the other one cost? It's only in a bundle? Do I see the other unit? I have this bigger unit. The funny thing is the bigger unit, oh no, that is the bigger unit. So the smaller unit has this, let's see if we can just see it here. Yeah, you can't see, but it doesn't have the plug like this. It has the little adapter plug. I'm just not a big fan of that. I don't know if you can see the other side. I'm not sure why I'm not finding it, but I am kind of just quickly referencing it. But you get the idea. So I like this brand. There's other great brands, Voodoo Labs. Everybody's gonna have their brand. This is a brand I stumbled onto. I literally, like I said, they sent one, and I was just really pleased with the quality of it. So I just bought another one from my other board. So those are what I would recommend if you go isolated power supply. It looks from those prices, the $200 to $300 range. You're not going to get much of a processor multi-effects unit. I mean, you could. There's some good stuff out there, but it just depends. If you're going to go techno joy instead of techno fear, the multi-unit that I absolutely love is the Line 6 unit, which I did a video of their single unit, the single pedal. I don't remember what the big unit is called. Let me show you right here, but it's just the bigger version of the, so I showed this, here, let me go back here. So I showed this, I did a video where I demoed this, the HX6 HX1, which I absolutely love, especially at $249, better than $299. But they have this right here, this one, the HX, well, this is also the HX effects. This unit is very good quality. It's one of my favorite, if you're just going for straight up effects. I have not tried these expresses and any of this stuff. I have not tried any of that. So I'm not in any kind of a, I don't get the rounds from the YouTube. The companies are always sending all the YouTubers all the gear. The only company that seems to keep me on the regular is Paul Reed Smith. Just for some reason, they'll send me stuff before it comes out. But everybody else, I don't usually hit their radar very often, so I can't speak to any of the other stuff. Okay, so I hope that was insightful in your question. Let's go to another question. Good time to drink some water. Amanda sent me a good question from rpad.tv videos. Any chance that you'll review the Fender Tonemaster Bassman? Would love to hear your take on it. So rpad, I have, funny, I have been in dilemma of this amp. Going to come up here and right here, so you know what I'm looking at. This is my favorites page on Reverb. I've been looking at Bassmans. Here's my problem. Here's my dilemma. I have a dilemma. I want to make a video of the Bassman Tonemaster amp for you guys. I think I want it. But here is my problem. I love the specifications. Heck, are you kidding? I love the fact that I got raked through the coals on the internet when I did the Tonemaster Deluxe Reverb and said, hey, it needs an effects loop. And they should have added reverb to both channels. And literally the Fender fanboys, which, hey, I'm a fanboy sometimes, so it's not derogatory term towards the fanboys. Just, I get it. You're a Fender fanboys. I'm a fanboy of other things. I'm a Parker fanboy. So name your brand, actually, probably fanboy. But anyway, he says, they all were like, Phil, you totally missed the point. I'm like, I don't miss the point. I get it. It's supposed to look and sound like the real thing. You could add features that I may or may not need in the future for pennies, if not dollars, because they're made in China. These amps are made in China. Look, yeah, they have a nice processor for the reverb. They sound great. Look, I'm not downgrading the design work, but these are mass-produced, made in China things. And those things, if you've ever had mass-produced, made in China things made as a company, you know it adds pennies, not tens of dollars in cost. It adds, so they could have added it. And of course, on the new Fender Bassman Tonemaster, they've added an effects loop and they put reverb in it because why not? It's not a real tube amp, so the reverb isn't affecting the sound. It's once you turn the reverb off, it's actually off. The amp doesn't change. It's modeled. So I was really excited about that. What I'm not excited about is $1,500. And as you just saw, if you were just looking, what I had pinned was a few smatterings of Bassman, 59 Bassmans, that I can buy new and or quote unquote demoed for less. I just don't know. What do I do, guys? Tell me. I don't care. Vote your interest, so to speak. Do I buy a Fender Bassman Tonemaster with a 50-50 chance I'll like it and review it for you guys and you get a video? Or do I take that hard-earned cash of mine and I buy the amp I know I'm going to love, which is a real Bassman, because I already know. So you guys know I just recently got rid of my Tonemaster Deluxe. I absolutely love the amp. So if you guys know the story, it goes like this. I bought one to review for you guys. I sold it. Luckily, because that got views, mostly because people were irritated with what I said, that it should have a effects loop. Well, it was the title, 10 reasons to buy it, 10 reasons not to buy it. So of course, it's what you get. But anyways, I sold it and then came across a used one. I don't know, a year later, bought the used one and had the used one. And I really liked it because, like I said, my biggest complaint about it was the $1,000 price tag. I picked one up for like $600 used. And anyways, I just recently sold it because I have the 65 Deluxe, the real amp, and every time you AB them, that's what happens. So I decided that I would rather, and keep in mind, my 65 Deluxe that I have, that I love, I paid $350 for used. It's crazy, which wasn't even a great deal at the time. This is 2000, 16, I think. Man, around then you could pick them up for $400 or $500 used. But anyways, I decided I'd rather just go to the gym. Just go to the gym and lift the extra. It's like 10 extra pounds. I don't know. It's not much for the real one. I just like the real one a little better. That's all. And so I decided instead of having two all the time, I'll just keep the real one. My fear is that if I buy the Bassman 59 Tone Master, I'll love it. I'll go, wow, it's great. And then I'll plug into a real 59 Bassman, whatever that means, and then not love it. I'll see. Somebody says buy it and return it. You know, that is a question that has come up over the years. Some stores actually will work out deals with YouTubers to do that. You buy the gear, and they, on the understanding they know you're going to return it when you're done with it. I have no problem doing that. I mean, it's just fronting money. It's great. But I don't have that kind of arrangement with a retailer. I wish somebody like Sweetwater would do something like that. Just like loan the gear out. It's kind of not how it works. At least it doesn't seem to work that way with me. Most of the way it works with me is I can reach out to them sometimes and I can get them interested in something I'm interested in doing a video of. But most of the time it's like all companies I deal with. No offense to those companies, at least it's something. It's always them to you. It's always like what they want, and then this is what they want you to talk about or show. So we'll see. Like I said, it's got me interested. Like I said, I've been interested since they mentioned it. It's just, to me, it's like $1,500 is so much money for a digital made in China product. That's just how I feel about that. I don't know why. It's funny. I don't have a problem with $1,500 for a made in China guitar, but for some reason a made in China amp, $1,500. I think it just doesn't feel like, I don't know. We'll see. Like I said, we'll see. But it's great. Thank you for bringing it up. Maybe I'll have a glass of wine this weekend and make a bad choice and buy an amp online. It's great. Okay, we gotta go. But you know what? Thank you, Amanda, for grabbing the question. And RPad TV, thank you for bringing it up. Like I said, I'm interested. I really need to have both, though. Not physically own both, but I need to hear both. I really need to know, to know if it's to recommend it to somebody. G. Holmes says, what is a decent mid-range guitar, Floyd Rose? Floyd guitar that won't have tuning issues. Is that still a thing, or is it all okay now? So everybody has very polarizing opinions of Floyd Rose bridges and how good ones are and bad ones are and you name it. This is what I will tell you setting them up. I've set up so many Floyd Rose, good ones, bad ones, and cheap ones. And this is what I can tell you are the pitfalls. First of all, the first thing, you have to be honest with yourself with a Floyd Rose. In other words, do you play a lot? If you play a lot, it is going to easily make sense to buy a better quality Floyd Rose bridge. It's really about the base plate. That's everybody has a different opinion about every component on the bridge, but I can tell you what you end up having issues with. The knife edges on the base plate, sometimes they get chewed up, they wear, and when you move them, that does not help the bridge. In fact, it actually hurts the bridge. Come back and stay in tune. So the tuning stability sometimes becomes an issue if you're really crazy with it. In my experience with those bridges, that does not matter if the bridge is blocked or it's sitting decked. In other words, on the body. In other words, if your Floyd is not full floating, the knife edges, I have seen not one, not two, not 10, but 100 junky Floyd Rose copies and Aria Pros and West Tones and Series 10s and GTX guitars, all the 80s, kind of a affordable guitar market with all their crappy versions of those bridges, literally chewed, and literally guys gigging and playing, people playing and using them in a very important, professional manner. So that's the first thing. Like I said, if you're going to deck it, it doesn't matter. If it's full floating, it can be problematic because it's a little bit of a pain in the ass because in my experience, I never had a problem getting them dialed in for people. I just noticed they came back a lot. They came back and they go after a couple weeks and they're like, yeah, it's acting up. And I'm like, oh, okay. I've tried all kinds of things like lubricating the posts and doing stuff. And I guess there was some movement help there, but really that's where you really want to kind of, like I said, spend the money, get a nice one with a nice bass plate. The Schaller German ones were considered the best. Most of my guitars have a Schaller German Floyd Rose. I've heard a ton of rumors about what happened. Essentially, all it really matters is Schaller's not making the German Floyd's Rose bridge. I don't know why I'm tongue twisted right now. Schaller is not making the German Floyd Roses anymore. Okay. I heard a rumor that some other company in Germany is. I heard they were being made in the USA. Either way, they're not stamping the plates, so it's kind of a vague thing. But they are saying they're hard steeled. So they're saying that quality has not changed. I like Gotoh bridges for that. The Floyd style Gotoh bridges are great. They're a lot cheaper and they're really good quality. I highly recommend those. And what's great is most of those are compatible with some of the cheaper Floyds. So if you have one of those less expensive Floyds in a guitar, most likely the Gotoh is going to drop in and fit really, really nicely. So something to consider. Interesting enough, today, the guitar of the week has a Floyd on it. So it's going to be a funny story, I guess. And I'm not sure what Floyd is on it. Isn't that funny? I assume it's a German-made one. I didn't look because it's working fine. So again, but back to the issue with your guitar, decent mid-range guitar prices. I mean, it depends. I've had really good luck with the Korean-made Floyd Rose bridges. I don't like the machining on the ones that, and even the German ones started getting crappy towards the last couple of years, so you know. But the machining on them sometimes it's rough. When you turn the posts, you can feel that it's not smooth. I mean, so saying the German ones are great is a little weird because I can go through one of my German Floyds from like 10 years ago, just 10 years ago, and the ones now, most recent ones, and you can feel they're different. The quality feels different. So they've all kind of downgraded the quality a little bit, but I wouldn't overly worry about it. Like I said, everybody does. It's a thing. But in my experience, there's very few players that are just working those bridges to the point where they need the high-end one. If you're not, if you're on stage, here's what it really matters. On stage is when it matters the most, because when things go wrong, there's people watching. So, and if you're like me, I kind of need peace of mind on stage. I need peace of mind doing this show every week live. There's 900 of you right now live. There could be 30,000, 40,000 watching the stream. Showing your ass all the time and messing up is a very embarrassing thing, and you have to get used to it. But on stage, mistakes in front of people always, not so much it's embarrassing, it just takes your mind share and takes me away from what I'm doing, and then I make another mistake. So on gear on stage, I like everything streamlined. I like to know it works. I don't take guitars on stage that I know don't stay in tune. Because I'm always concerned about them. I don't want to be thinking that. That's the last thing I want to be worried about, is whether or not the guitar stays in tune. So, there you go. All right. Guitar 1952 says, I'm confused, and maybe I need to ask patron, but Sweetwater sends Robert Baker and Sean Daniel guitars for review all the time. I bought an Epi Firebird after Robert's review. Yeah, they do. Sweetwater sends us guitars too. Like I said, sometimes we can reach out to them. They've been good to us, so Sweetwater. Put in reference, there isn't another retailer that's ever worked with us in any capacity that has been anything close to Sweetwater. So that's why it's like, and I've worked with other retailers. I've worked with Guitar Center. I've worked with AMS. I've worked with those guys. They were all, it was all, a blessing to have anybody, kind of sponsor the channel because it takes some of the financial burden off us. But it is always slanted towards what they need more, which I understand. Sweetwater is the first company. It was like, okay, what do you need? They take care of us really well. But what I've noticed is it's not always a yes. Like I said, I could reach out to them. I could reach out this weekend. We could see. We could reach out to them and see if they want to send a Bassman 59 Tone Master. Maybe they will. And then sometimes they respond with they'd like to do something else. Again, if it's selling, they usually don't need somebody to promote it. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But like I said, yes, they take care of us. They do giveaways too. Maybe we can get one and give it away. I would totally do that. So I'll tell you what I'll do. I will ask. I'm lying, by the way. Shauna will ask this. She will send an email to the people at Sweetwater that she talks to and say, hey, if we can get a 59 Bassman. In fact, Shauna's probably watching right now. If you're watching, Shauna, you can do it anytime you want. Send in a message to them and just say, hey, is there any way we can get a Fender 59 Bassman Tone Master on the channel for review, and if we can do a giveaway with it. So Landon says Sweetwater doesn't even sell water. They do, Landon. You were there. They sell bottled water. They just don't sell sweet water. Okay. Rob Allen has a subject. Rob says, hey, Phil, do you think that these PRS SE guitars have a negative impact on the value of the used core models? No, I don't think that's how it works. I think it works the opposite way. I reviewed the new Paul Reed Smith SE Custom 24 semi-hollow piezo. It's a lot of words. This week, thank you guys for watching. It was one of the most watched videos of that guitar. So thank you for that. That guitar was very stressful for me. It was one of the most stressful PRS video I ever did, since I've been doing any videos with PRS. They reached out to me. They asked me if I would like to check out the new PRS SE. I was like, yes, let's do it. It seems exciting. They sent it out. I asked for the information on it. They sent the information, and I got to tell you, I had a little sticker shock on the $1,600 price tag. It really hit me. I was just like, I was losing it. For 2 or 3 days, I just could not stop fixating on this price point. It's not that I haven't seen $1,600 Indonesian guitars. Heck, the hollow body PRS SEs are $1,500. Actually, now $16, but $15 when I reviewed them, made in China. But they were hollow at least. It's more expensive to do a hollow instrument than it is a solid instrument because more handwork involved, more time, more process. But I was like, wow, $1,600. How do I explain this? My job is to explain to you guys why is this made this way? What is in this? What is the quality? And why Jeff says Phil learned how to pronounce piezo. I didn't. I just copied what PRS said. That's how they were pronouncing it. So I just pronounced it to be the same. Anyways, I still have no idea what I'm saying with the word. But back to the thing. I was like, I have to explain this. And I have to explain either it's bad or good. And what is that? And what I looked around was, obviously, the Schecter still makes a really great semi-hollow guitar with a piezo for $1,049. You can buy on Sweetwater, made in Korea, set neck. Very good guitar. Very good guitar. Its resale value is not very good, So if you're running to Sweetwater to buy one, might want to look on Reverb, see if they're used. I usually don't hold value great. I don't know why. Anyways, but I haven't compared the sound quality, so I don't know if the Schecter's is good. Could be. My point is, I was like, why is this $1,500? And I was like, I'm trying to understand it because PRS, which I mentioned in the video, PRS SE Custom 24 is $1,000. That's $600 for piezo and hollow body. I was thinking $100 upcharge for a hollow body makes sense. $300 for piezo. Okay, well, that got us to 14. How did we get to 16? And Rob, to answer your question, through hours of researching, which is what I do on these stupid videos, it's because, and I believe this, PRS didn't tell me. I never asked them because I don't want to hear an ad copy on that. I believe it's because what I said in the video. The core is $5,000. And of course, they're going to, as a business, look at their price points and go, okay, well, if we're charging $5,000 for this, we can't make one for $700. It's like, people who actually are considering buying the core are going to be like, how do I justify that? So I think, Rob, the opposite, and it's not PRS. I think it's with Gibson. I think it's with Fender too. I think import guitars are how they justify the higher prices in USA guitars, right? I mean, sure, there's some expense factors. Don't get me wrong. But I'm just saying a lot of the correspondence between the import price of their brand and their USA pricing is in the fact that they need the import brand to be not too cheap. Because if it's too cheap, then like I said, it could do what you said. It could damage the USA brand and vice versa. So I really think that they're using the USA guitars, and I say I don't want to pick on Paul Reed Smith at all because it would not be fair or right. The only exceptions to this, I've said this, the only exceptions that I've seen in this industry are the brands who are only making guitars in the US or in Germany or in Japan or whatever. Like they have a factory and they're building their instruments where they are. Anyone who has a subline of their brand all seem to engage in raising the price of the main instrument, and that makes the import instrument more appealing. And as those prices go up, that's why the import prices go up. You know, I think if you would have said to all of us, including me, 15 years ago, why not? 15 is good years. 15 years ago, 2010-ish, right? Let's call it that. 2010, you say PRS SE is going to be $1,600 and it's going to be made in Indonesia. I would have laughed. I'd be like, good luck. But I also would have freaked out hearing $5,000 on PRSs that are non-10 tops now for core. That's a crazy price tag. So and the same thing with Gibson, same thing with Fender. It's like some of the prices just crazy. So Richard says there's plenty of guitars that are built in the USA. There are plenty of guitars being built in the USA. And like I always say, and again, I know some of you guys are always talking about, when I say USA guitars, please keep in mind what I mean by that is guitars that are made by the factory of origin. Okay. So in other words, like Gotoh guitars made in Canada is factory of origin, which, yeah. So to me, Fender makes guitars in California, but they also make guitars in China, Indonesia, India and Korea. But obviously those are not their original factories. So that's what I'm talking about. It's outsourcing their product. There are tons of great guitars in the USA. They're just expensive. At this point, it's so weird that this conversation going this way. I feel like I should do Guitar of the Week now because it actually ties in. This is what I want to talk about. It's funny. Couldn't have timed this any better. Okay, so I'm going to do Guitar of the Week now. It's a little early, but I kind of want to tie this in because Guitar of the Week is about this, about USA priced instruments and what's affordable and not affordable. And by the way, I use the word obtainable more than affordable. I get the internet freaks out anytime you say affordable and you say $1,000. People, that's not affordable. It's just obtainable, more obtainable. Obviously, $1,000 is easier to get than $5,000 physically, right? I mean, it's not a hard argument to make. It's easier to come up with $100 than it is 1,000. It's easier to come up with 1,000 than 10,000. It's easier to come up with 10,000, 100,000. It's easier to come up with 100,000, a million. Whether or not you can do any of those numbers, that's individually different, for each people. But at least you can agree that the lower the number, the easier it is to get, whether you have the money or not. So Guitar of the Week is a USA made guitar. This is a used guitar I picked up. So this is a Jason Becker Kiesel Numbers guitar. This one's used. And this is an interesting guitar because I'm a Jason Becker fan. I've always been a fan of this guitar. You guys remember the ads in the 80s? It always reminded you, the kindergarten, building blocks, right? Just a piece of ash, wood, no finish. There's no finish on this guitar. This has the Seymour Duncans. I believe the original one had DiMarzio's, but now this has Seymour Duncans. They sound amazing. They're Jason Becker pickups, 1 volume, 5-way switch, Floyd Rose. This one has a tone vice on it, which is essentially the detuna. It's just a better quality detuna. For me, it's a little better quality and a little easier to install, 10% easier. But more importantly, notice I don't have to make any kind of routes or do anything to get the detune on there. So if I want to drop D, I can. It's not engaged right now. I'm not going to be using it today because I don't have the tremolo blocked. I would block the trem to use the drop D. I just have it as an option. I did this to it. If you haven't seen these, they're awesome. This is the Turbo. It's called the Turbo Arm by Floyd Rose. If you look, it's very hard to see. Let me put the guitar down. See my hand so you guys can see in the camera. If you look here, this is the Allen wrench. Look, it's built into the end of the... This is ingenious, by the way. So it's called the Turbo Arm by Floyd Rose. This is just the regular tremolo arm, but it has the Allen wrench, so you can actually use it as the Allen wrench. So ingenious. This is ingenious. So I installed one of those on there, which was very easy. This guitar, super light, under 6.5 pounds, just under 6.5 pounds. So very cool. And they use Kiesel locking keys. And I know some of you guys are going to be like, why didn't you buy one from Kiesel? Why'd you buy used? Just opportunity to buy one used, worked out, right? And I wanted to talk about this guitar because I've been wanting one for a long time. Oh, I did add strap locks to it. And of course I made them mismatch because that's cool. Let's go ahead and play the guitar. Let's do that. That's probably, for playing the guitar today, I'm actually using my Engel Steve Morris amp that I absolutely love. I thought I'd bring it back into rotation for today's video. Just the last minute, I was like, this guitar, it needs the Steve Morris amp. So I'm running the Steve Morris amp. I'm running through a 112 cabinet, and I'm going to play some sounds for you. I'll start with the bridge, and we'll go from there. Let's do that. Let's go ahead and switch over to this camera. Here we go. Okay, look at that. And let's do this.
Now it's time for Guitar of the Week.
I love the flutter, don't you? Just like... Okay, so let me go to the neck pickup. For those of you curious, I'm playing on the 9th fret, and the 7th fret, and the 5th, and the 3rd, and the 1st. Okay, let's go ahead. I'm going to switch it over to clean, because I know somebody's going to be like, I got to hear the clean. I don't know why, but we do. Here we go. Okay, now when I go back a position on the switch, it's coil split. And I'm going to do the bridge, but the bridge is, I believe this is the bridge in the middle. So I got, somebody says, hit us with the dive bomb. Let's switch the channel over. So funny thing, switch back here. Funny thing is, I had to give it a little bit more gain, juice it a little bit. I usually use a boost pedal for that kind of stuff, but I don't have a boost pedal set up. So, so here is your Jason Becker guitar. Like I said, pretty basic, right? I mean, just a an ash body, no finish, like the Nuno in 4. This is a quarter sawn maple neck, got flaming, with a maple fretboard, lumen lay dot side markers, and then of course the custom inlays, the Jason Becker truss rod, the Kiesel logo in different colors. My wife says that the red button should be in different colors too, but I go, but they were mimicking the original one he had from the 80s. Somebody says it looks like Play School. I think that's what he was going for when he did this, right? He wanted to stand out in the 80s, and believe it or not, even though this seems flashy 80s, it's not very flashy for the time. Now everybody's like, whoa, look at the colors, but then like it wasn't that crazy. But why I wanted to show this guitar, one, because I just found one used, which is great. And I'm super excited because I've been trying to find one. Mostly I wanted to find one super light. And so you guys know, ash can be really heavy or really light. If you look on the in-stock list on Kiesel, you'll see that some of the Jason Becker guitars can be 7.5 pounds, 6.5 pounds, 8 pounds, all over the place. I really wanted a really light one. But, I was thinking about this because resale value on this is actually really good. And I think it's because, let me show you this. New, this guitar is $17.99. And so a little funny story on this. My goal, which I was not able to do because there's no finish on this guitar. So that's the big deal. My goal was to be the least expensive guitar you could buy from Kiesel. Mine is $18.49. So mine's $50 more. It's just between the finish, there's just no way to do it. But that was all I really wanted, was to be the same price as the Jason Becker, because I just thought, I always loved that this guitar is $17.99 and it's made in the USA, okay? And he was originally with Carvin. So in fact, the other Jason Becker model, I don't know if you know this one, they actually put the Carvin logo on it. So the tribute, they make it one exactly like his back in the day, and they put the Carvin logo. What's funny was, I was thinking about this going, I have a Nuno in 4. Even a Nuno guitar in 4 is $2,500 to $3,000 with no finish on it. But look at this. I was looking, these are artist guitars on Sweetwater, and Red Beach. I mean, this is made like an hour and a half away from Kiesel factory. It's obviously Sir, but, and it's got some really nice, I think this is Koa wood, $5,000. Steve I ones, it's made in Japan, $35,000, right? We're only looking at the USA stuff. This new the PV Vandenberg's coming back. I believe this is going to be USA for $3,000. I don't know for sure. Here's a Schecter USA, Aaron Marshall for $35,000. Like Tim Henson's I think Tim Henson's is made in Indonesia for $17,000. Nick Bocat's guitar is $12,000, but I believe this is made in Indonesia as well. So it's funny to me. Yeah, I mean, Mark Tremonti, $47,000. Obviously, any of the Ernie Ball stuff is going to be over $3,000. I was just trying to think. I figure I wanted to brain trust you guys. There's enough of you watching. Let me know in the comments who's less expensive than Jason Becker's USA-made guitar at $1,800. And I know with Kiesel, I know you can, add things, right? But so you guys know, if you click on this particular guitar and go here, let me go out of this. I don't know why it's doing this to me. And build your own, you'll notice that almost everything is set and there's not a lot to add. I think you can get this guitar up another couple $100, and that's about it. So essentially, this is the pricing on it. So $1,800. To give you a reference, that's a Fender. Is that a Fender American Strat now? Right? Fender Professional Strat? What is a professional Strat? Okay. Oh, yeah, well, 16, yeah, look. $1,649 to $1,799. So it's interesting. I mean, again, it's got a finish on it, and the Jason Becker doesn't, but they don't have to pay a royalty. Obviously, Kiesel gives a portion of that guitar to Jason Becker to help with his disease, right, and help take care of him. It's just really interesting. But like I said, I'll look in the comment section. By the way, Amanda's really good at this. Amanda, if somebody posts, somebody says Nick Johnson, nope. Nick Johnson, USA Schecter. Let's take a look. I just said nope, like I knew. I don't even know. I'm like, no, stop with that. No, okay, Nick Johnson. He might be, but I don't think so. Okay, ready? All right. So Nick Johnson's guitar is $899. This is made in Indonesia. The USA one is $24 and $28. Oh, that's not even Nick Johnson. Oh, there it is. Oh, it's 35 right here. I'm sorry. USA signature Nick Johnston is 35. And of course, Eric Johnson's are in the 25s to 3,000. It's like I said, it's really cool. Like I said, I mean, so $1,800 is still a lot of money, but it's just prices have gotten so crazy. If you're like me and you're a fan of these artists, their guitars, like I remember when all their guitars were expensive back in the day at $1,500. Now you look at these ESP George Lynch guitars, $5,000. You look at Steve Vai guitars, they're $35,000 to $5,000. It just seems like the prices have gotten really, really expensive. And there's an import version, but like I said, I'm noticing with companies that don't have import versions of guitars, they kind of have to hold the line on their pricing, because once they hit 5,000, they're unobtainable to almost 90% of the market. And you can save your pennies and do some trade in and do some stuff, but that's the price point. It's the smallest piece of the buying triangle for the market. So interesting. Yeah, Rob says he needs to win the lottery. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy to see what these guitars are going for. So interesting. But I'll be looking out and seeing if you guys come up with a guitar. I'm just curious. Who's okay. I don't know. All right, let's go. Let's pick a winner real quick. We'll do that for fun, and then I'll hop into the next subject. Okay, ready? This week I picked this winner. This one made me laugh. I just did. Good job. Good job. So, Juan, this is ingenious. He recreated the workbench. I was like, what the hell? It's one of those, at first I saw it, I was like, okay, I get it. And then I was like, I saw the geeky stuff sign. I saw the tools on the wall. I was like, oh yes. And my gotta have the patch, right? He's got the sticker on there. Go back to Juan. Great job, Juan. But here's how he got my attention. You never, it's just if it matters. What got my attention was the clip-on tuner. I have a clip-on tuner anytime anytime you guys see me play in a video, I have a clip-on tuner. This is garnered so much hatred. You would think, no. Some of you guys are like, what? Some of you guys are like, yeah, I'm the one that sends them. I get emails sometimes. Please stop putting the stupid looking tuners on the videos. You look stupid. So I think it's because Rick Beato made a comment once that he thought the tuners on headstock look stupid and people need to stop doing it. Here's the thing, man. When I'm filming, I constantly got to check to see if I'm in tune, and if I'm not in tune, how far out of tune has the guitar moved? So I can either talk about that or correct it if it's something that's happening, just in the video. So yeah, I always have a clip-on tuner. I think I told this story once. I was once doing a video with Pete Thorne. We were together in this video, and right when the camera, they were doing the camera, and they were like, okay, ready? Whatever they do, right? To action, go, whatever they say, right? Start. And right when he goes to do it, Pete goes, whoa. Hey, Phil, your tuner's on your headstock. And I go, I know, I leave it on there. He's like, you do? I go, yeah. I go, so people know you tuned. I think that video is out there. I don't think I clipped that part out. I think I left that in the video. It might be, I can't remember. But anyways, that's what happened. So yeah, one, the backdrop was great, but also a nice little touch adding the tuner. That means you're paying attention to the small details as well, which I really appreciate. So you won. What did you win? Well, you won a complete kit from Stu Mac that has my favorite stuff: micro mesh, fret and dress file, fret guards, the touch-up stick. Get some lemon oil for your fretboard. You get a humidifier, if I can say that, hermographer to tell you if you need a humidifier, the whole kit. So thanks Stu Mac for doing that, and grabbing the wrong camera. But also thanks Stu Mac for not only sponsoring, giving you guys great stuff, but also they're taking care of the shipping and they're shipping it straight from them to you guys. So thank them for that, because believe it or not, that's sometimes the hardest part. Middle of the week, you're like, oh no, it's Wednesday. We got to get to the post office and get these out to you guys. And it's really great that they're doing that for us as a kindness. So thank them for sponsoring the show. It's really nice of them. Let's see. Okay, let's get into some more subjects and questions. We got a bunch because I already see them stacking up. Let's start here. We have Antique Rocker says, hey, is Thomas Toole buying Gibson? So hold on, let me go back with more. Can we advocate for lessons and metronome apps that correct for the time lapse of Bluetooth speakers? Okay, those are two questions, and one I have no idea. Can you advocate for lessons and metronome apps that correct the time lapse of Bluetooth speakers? I don't know. I'm the wrong guy, Antique Rocker. You probably know more about the app than I do. On the rumor mill, yes, I have heard the rumor that Thomas Toole, T-U-L-L, Toole is buying Gibson. Here's what I know. He's a rich guy. If you Google it, his Wikipedia comes up. It says rich guy who's an investor, and I don't know. I can only throw rumor, the rumor mill. That's already out there now from the rumor mill. That's what I've heard from the same rumor mill, nothing from an official thing. But I would rather give you the rumor before that rumor that would probably make this rumor make some kind of sense. When James Curley was let go from Gibson, allegedly let go. In other words, that's what I was told happened, right? That he was let go. And I was told, interesting enough, here's why this is important. I was told he was let go, okay? And I was told that Cesar was going to take over as the acting CEO. And then literally like they announced like the next day, James Curley left. I'm like, oh, okay, well, maybe that's true. And then a week later, it's like, Cesar is the CEO. I'm like, okay, well, wow, I guess that rumor seems to make sense. Okay, so that was the rumor. Then the rumor was that Cesar was going to try and buy or get investors to buy Gibson from the investment company that has it now, the company now. This rumor would line up with that story. Again, this is all just rumor, and I don't even know why it would matter. So it's not like to me this. When I talk about this kind of subjects, if you notice, I'm not really interested in what companies get sold and buy and do stuff. I'm more about companies who merge and how that could change a company. I don't get from anything that if this is true or a version of this is true, that anything will change at Gibson. Gibson's already a very corporatized company who runs and operates very corporate. And again, take that for whatever you want if you think that's a negative or positive. But I don't see anything in any rumors that I've heard that would change anything how Gibson operates. So it would be a lot different if it was somebody inside. If anything, these big companies are just acquired up by people outside our industry. That's who has the money. So, I mean, that's what happens when you're, one of the top, 10 largest companies in an industry. Nobody in that industry can buy you. So it's got to come from outside. Flux says it's a negative. I would say net zero. Flux, I mean, so you could say it's a negative, but I don't think they're doing great now. So what could get worse? They could raise prices more, or they could sue more people, or whatever the drama that seems to unfold all the time with Gibson. Whatever that drama is, I mean, if it gets worse, it's not noticeably worse. But who knows? Who knows? I don't know. That's my 2 cents on that. I don't have anything to say that could help you with any information. Let's see. So, I was more interested. I'm more interested in MRIC buying all parts. I thought that was a very interesting thing that I'm sure we're going to be talking about on the channel soon, because I think that's one of the most interesting purchases I've seen in our industry and what that could mean for a lot of things. It's pretty interesting. Okay, Andy G says, hey, love the show. Thank you. He says, in Australia, stores can order Japanese Fender Jags, but I cannot play them first. If I like Player 2 or Squire Jags, any risk to buy a higher grade Japanese Jag without playing it first? Well, the only exceptions would be, the only 2 things you would have to worry about is if it's heavier or lighter than you want it to be, and if the neck isn't the shape you would hope it is, because that's really what holding and playing the guitar tells you really quickly is, is it too heavy, too light, or if the neck feels good. But if you're worried about quality, I mean, Japanese-made Fenders, I don't think you could be safer as a purchase of quality. So there you go. Barry says, thank you, Barry, for the super crazy large super chat. Thank you. It says, hey, Phil, thanks for your contributions to the guitar world. New Guitar Day, Gibson SG 61 reissue, 6 pounds, 2 ounces. Nice. Plus Princeton Reverb. You're talking my language, buddy. 12-inch. He says, your advocacy helped these decisions. Have you experienced an Epiphone Wilshire since you like light guitars? Mine is heavily modded. I have played a Wilshire from time to time throughout the years in some kind of form of iteration. I remember liking them, but it's not something that I got to purchase, on my radar for any means. Great guitar, just, again, everything's got stars, just like this Jason Becker. The stars got to line up. Everything's got to line up, right? It's got to be the right time to buy. I always said this. I've said this so many times over the years in this show, but I haven't said it recently. To buy something for me, like the moon has to be in. No, just kidding. I have to have the money, and the opportunity has to come up, and I have to be in the mood to want that. And I have to, right? Like all these things have to line up. So people talk about, like, I find guitars every day that I want, but I either don't have the cash readily available to make that purchase to justify it, or I'm not in the mood to buy anything, or had just recently bought something. And even if I have the cash, I'm like, I just kind of feel like I should be happy with what I have. like use what you got. Stop getting more stuff. So it's like I said, everything has to line up. But anyways, so a Wilshire's never lined up in that situation for me, but an SG did. So obviously that's why I love the SG. So, and SG Princeton is, still magical to me. Still a magical combination on every level. And again, go back 20 years ago, if you would have told me, Phil, you're going to have an SG and a Princeton and you're going to love it, I'd be like, you're an idiot. I'd have took that bet. I'd be like, there's no way. I think SGs are ugly and Princetons are too small. I don't know. Maybe the Princeton, maybe that long ago Princeton, but 20 years ago, definitely not. Okay, scent of a wheelchair chair pillow, because it got so many things to say. Visiting Seoul in a few weeks. Since to be able to see your show while I'm here, you make me feel at home. Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that very much. I hear Seoul is beautiful. All I know about Seoul, Korea is what my buddies in the army used to say, which is all of them had the same MOS as me. So it was always like, apparently rice paddies suck to pull tanks out of the mud. So I did recovery for a while, which is pulling equipment out of the mud. I never had the unfortune or the fortune to go to Germany or Korea, but I hear you freeze in the mud in Germany and you sink in the mud in Korea. That's what the guys tell me. Okay, so Alex says, hey, do you upcharge on Reverb to bake in high frets? Do I what? Do you upcharge on Reverb to bake in the high fees? Oh, high fees. I got high frets on the brain. Is Reverb charging that much because they can, or is there a good reason? Shouldn't it be a flat fee? Do I upcharge? I do not upcharge on Reverb. The way I look at things for me is I don't look at everything as a win or a loss. So it's just the way I think. Robert says, did you drive an M80? I'm sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. See, this is what happens when I pay attention to comments. Just saw M88. So Robert says, did you drive an M88? I never really drove them. I was just pulling cable all the time with them. Yes, but we use M88 wreckers. So you guys don't know, it's a track vehicle. And we pull things out of the mud, including M1s, which is crazy because an M1 is so much heavier than M88. It's a very messy mess. So Brian says Abram's way easier to pull out of the mud than an M1 because the damn thing's so big. It's just nuts. Yes. I always think about this. Tanks, you mean Bradley over there? I'm sorry, you guys. Some of you guys are diehard fans of the show, and you know so long that you guys know that a tank driver once. So if you guys don't know about tank drivers, first of all, they are crazy. Okay, absolutely crazy. I love them. Thank God for them. Thank them for their service. You have to be an insane person to get inside a tank and want to drive it. And especially if you're me, because they're usually the tank drivers are shorter. I'm 6 foot, so you get in that thing. It's super claustrophobic. I absolutely hated being around inside the tank. Anyways, my point is, there are a crazy mentality of people to do what they do, and they're very passionate. Is an understatement. And because I am 6 foot and the tank drivers are usually shorter, it's really interesting because they're, I don't want to say scrappy. How do I say this? Like, they'll kick your ass. Like, these are guys that are like, they were the guys in high school who got made fun of for being short, and then they just learn throw the first punch. Like, if they don't throw the first punch, they're not winning the fight. So let's just say they're aggressive, okay? In all positive ways. This is all what you need in a tank driver. My point is, one day, just one day, I made the mistake of calling a Bradley fighting vehicle a tank. I was working on something. I was a PFC at the time. I wasn't paying attention. Tank driver was there. I said something, and I said something as loosely as, that tank over there. And he says, I can't say, I know I cuss sometimes on the channel, but I'm not going to cuss. But he was cussing. He was like, don't call that effing piece of aluminum a tank. You don't work on my tank ever again. Because I'm an idiot. Because I don't know what I'm doing now. Right? He just ripped me to shreds. And the whole time I was standing looking down at him while he was pointing. He's like, Matt, like, right? And it was like, God, I feel so horrible saying this, but I just got to tell you, it was a different time, okay? It was like watching a Keebler elf get ready to kick your ass, and you knew he could do it, and that was going to be embarrassing to watch, right? Especially since I wasn't going to be watching it. They were going to be watching it happen to me. But I was like, this guy's going to, and they got the steel-toed boots on because they're tankers, and he's just like, he's angry, and he's pissed, and he's in my face, and he can't spit in my face because he's like spitting in my shirt. Anyways, but I learned a lesson. Here's the important thing. Not only thank you for your service, tank drivers, but also I never called any tracked vehicle a tank. By the way, at that time, I was calling all tracked vehicle. I would call the M88 a tank. I would just call it a tank, like an idiot. I learned. Don't do it. So, all right. All right. Yeah, there are a lot of you guys, like, they know how to fight. Yeah, that was, yes, great bunch of crazy people who do a crazy hard job. Okay. We got to get back to Reverb, though. Okay, so Reverb, I don't upcharge my stuff on Reverb. What I do is the way I think of things is I know certain things have value. So I have a spreadsheet. It's Excel. When I buy and sell my personal stuff, okay, it's not for a business purpose like that. It's just how I think of things. Like, okay, I bought this for $800, and I know for a fact I'm gonna get $1,200. So I'm up 4. So I'm kind of like, okay, I could argue and fight and claw to death to always win, but your sanity and your time is worth something too. So I'll go, okay, I bought this for $800, and this is probably going to go for 6. And then fees, I'm going to get 5. So I lose $300. But I'm up 4 on the other thing when I sell that. And I'm up 4. So I'm even out. I'm up $100. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Right. I'm churning that money and it goes in back into other stuff. So I kind of don't stress the losses as long as they're not out of control. I know when like, okay, this one will win. And Reverb's the same thing. Reverb is great. Sometimes like a product, like if I list it on Reverb. I recently sold one of my Parker guitars, and I knew on Reverb I would get the absolute most for it because of it's such a unique product. You need a lot of eyeballs to finally get that one person to buy it. So that on Reverb, it went on top, it sold for top dollar, and I was happy with that. But like another product, I would be like, I don't want to put that on Reverb. There's already too many on Reverb now. Everybody was just going to lowball me. If I'm going to lose money, what I do then, if I'm going to lose too much money on Reverb, let's say there's something on Reverb and I know I'm only going to get $500 for it on Reverb. And I go, well, I'll just offer it local for $500 and see who grabs it if it's going to go that low. So that happens pretty often, but you just kind of go with what you can do. Like I said, it's really a tough thing now because of this, the way they run everything. And when it comes to fees, some people like the fees, some people hate the fees. Me personally, I kind of think I would like a system where it was kind of like I thought personally. And again, this is my very limited understanding of this, but I liked how the 1099 used to work with Reverb. I know that's the government, not Reverb, but it was like if you had over 200 transactions or you sold $20,000, you get a 1099. And I was like, okay, that's a business. I don't care if you're doing it at your garage or you're an Amazon reseller, whatever. You got 200 transactions in a year. I mean, there are businesses that don't have that. So I'm like, so I love the idea of a business somehow will pay different services than a hobbyist. To me, I think it would be really nice if, the fees were reduced for the hobbyist, and the hobbyist is dictated by the volume and sell. Like to me, if you sell 2 things on Reverb for the year, why not entice those people to sell a few things? I know it really sucks. I have a lot of friends now that won't sell on Reverb because they're like, I don't want to get a 1099 for $600, and I don't want to pay Reverb basically 8% by the time credit cards and fees, and I don't want to deal with all the stress of it. And they created a headache, and I think they should make it easier for the onesie-twosie sellers out there, the hobbyists out there, they're selling. That's just my opinion. Businesses don't mind. In fact, 2 things we could talk about. It's kind of funny. One, I had a couple businesses reach out to me after my little rant last week on Guitar Center and on my rant on Guitar Center and on Reverb, and couple things. One, they were saying a lot of the businesses didn't mind the fees on Reverb, but a lot of the personal people did. The other thing, when I talked about Guitar Center, this is a good segue. Last week I brought up the fact that the CEO of Guitar Center is basically saying, hold on a second. I want to grab the most recent one. Please, just give me 1 second here. Where did it go? Here it is. Double click that. Here we go. So I did a survey on the YouTube channel, and I asked you guys what you guys thought. Let's go to that real quick. It's thinking. Apparently, there it is. Oh, it won't let me see it. Weird. Oh, there it is. Here you go. Okay, so I asked you guys if you thought Guitar Center should get engage more with doing used gear, which would mean it would be competing with Reverb, or go with the CEO's plan to do higher end gear. And 83%, so 2,200 you voted, 83% of you think that you would like Guitar Center to go with more used gear, And 17% think that the CEO's new plan is the best plan. And so that I thought was interesting. I thought it would be in the favor of used gear, but I didn't think it'd be that high. So a lot of you guys were thinking the same way I was thinking, which is, Guitar Center should focus that way. I would imagine if we do another survey, I think we could do the same thing, do another survey for Reverb to see what you guys think of the fees and how it works. Like I said, I just don't like it. I guess I say all this stuff and I could really sometimes afterwards, I can always paraphrase it down to a statement. Here's my statement. I don't think every single entity should be treated like a business. I think if you're a business, you understand costs and time. And I think if you're a person just trying to offload a guitar you don't love anymore, you shouldn't have to operate and act like a business to do that. It's and that's my opinion. That's where I'm at with that. So, plus less government's probably better. Just a thought. Okay. I'm never gonna get through this stuff if I don't get focused. Okay. We have Mark says, "Hey, this is my contribution for canceling Miserable Turd." He canceled Miserable Turd, but only on days that end in Y. I have no idea what you're talking about, Mark. Okay. Andrew says, "Hey, why would you fix a crack in an ebony fretboard? Please let me know specific glue." Oh, how? Not why. How would you fix it? Specific glue, dust, sandpaper, grit, sand, without glue. Without glue. I use Type-On wood glue. That's what I use for an ebony fretboard. I've shown videos where I've shown you guys using syringes. You can get them on StewMac. You get wood glue syringes from StewMac, from Amazon. Okay. I actually like the cheaper ones on Amazon more than the expensive one that StewMac sells. So you can get glue syringes if you want to if it's a really small crack to get in there, and just glue it up. And you can use, if the crack is big enough and you think you need to fill it a little bit, you can use some ebony dust as well. But in my experience with ebony, and I live in a super dry climate, when it cracks, it's a very fine crack. So your biggest problem isn't about how to kind of hide the crack. It's about just getting glue into it, because it's just so small. The crevasse is so tiny. So I would say Type-On glue and a syringe. And because I always think I should always take the second to show you guys. In my glue video, I go through all this, okay? But I'm going to see if I can find here's the kit right here. Okay. Web. Oh, it's frozen. Great. So anyways, oh, nice. So anyways, this is it. $6.99. It's a whole kit. You have every kind of applicator you can think of, every situation. Get that, some Type-On wood glue. I would get just the water-soluble wood glue, nothing special. You should be able to do that. I am not a big proponent for using epoxies or super glues or anything like that on wood. I like wood glue. It is very easy to work with, very easy to manipulate, and very easy to fix. So, okay. So, let's go to the next one. We have Erroneous Guitar. I think that's what I'm saying. Erroneous Guitar. Hey, Phil, recently found the podcast and my first time catching it live. Oh, thank you for joining live. Thanks for the great decision. Wait, thanks the great discussion when I'm stuck in the I-17 North construction traffic. Nice. I'm glad you said that. This is I just released a podcast today on the audio side, and we talked about the numbers last week, and I actually I was contemplating all day, like, should stop in the audio podcast. But then, I hear statements like that, like, it's nice to listen to on there. I know what it's like to want to, I listen to so much podcast, and me, I'm not into politics and sports. And so if you're not into politics and sports, that's like 70% of the podcasts are gone. just they don't exist to you. So I know what it's like to have something, to listen to in the car. It's especially, driving, just nice to have, a conversation thing going in the background versus I love music, but sometimes it's nice to have a talk. So I hear somebody talking about a subject I like. So thank you for the compliment. Grumpy Mike Guitar says, packing up my studio. What is wrong with me today? Packing up my studio for the move to Tennessee. Found gear I don't know. So you had stuff hiding in cracks you didn't even know about, right? That's kind of funny. I never have that experience. I have friends tell me that all the time. There is probably nothing I could find and go, wow, I didn't know I had that. I am extremely meticulous about stuff because I think it's just, I don't know what it is. It could be my upbringing. I don't know. If I don't use something, it can't stay. It's got to go. I try not to do that to my wife. I've really backed off over the last, decade or so. Cause she now does it cause cause she learned it from me. But I used to be like, when's the last time you used that pot? When's the last time we used a blender? Like, we should get rid of this stuff. Like, anything we don't use, we shouldn't have it because it just takes up space. And it's like, it bugs me. So yeah, I don't have like little, like, oh, I forgot I own that. It's never like that with me. It's always like, I'm just always, in other words, I spring clean a lot. A couple times throughout the year, I'm just getting rid of stuff all the time. Michael says, hey, do you know of the market values of the ESP LTD M1000 Snow White 2014 Maple Neck? Nope. I've seen posts of it for $1,900. Where is the best place to sell it? I always tell you, if you have something that's unique or interesting, okay, you should try and find the forums for that product. I'm not sure how unique the ESP LTD M1000 Snow White is, but you're saying, I mean, it's selling for $1,900. That seems pretty high for that particular guitar. I would go and join one of the forums. There's tons of them out there. There's Facebook groups, all that stuff. Get involved in that stuff if you're selling something special. Because it's a lot easier to deal with, someone who's informed on what it is instead of getting 500, emails going, hey, why is it priced so high? Because they don't understand. Clan of House Cats says, hey, the new Dream Theater with Mike Portnoy, Night Terror. Yeah, they released the album yesterday. I had seen the new guitar and stuff. I had seen all the stuff before. The new pickups look amazing. They're fantastic, actually. I have not heard any tracks off the album yet, but Dream Theater is a band that I always tell everybody, they're like the weirdest band for me mentally. I do not consider myself a Dream Theater fan. Okay, what I mean by that is like, I like them, but I like a lot of bands that I don't consider to be a fan of. But I think I have every Dream Theater album. And there are bands that I consider myself a fan of, and I don't have every album. Dream Theater is like, I buy every album because I'm like, what do they do now? Like, I just wanted to know. But I don't necessarily love every album. There's a few albums here and there. It's like every 3 albums, I'm not literally, but 1 in 3 albums, I'm just like, I love that album. And the other 2 albums, I'm like, that was good. It was good. But I'm always like, I just got to hear what they do. It's like, they're just so over the top and so talented. Thank you, Kevin, for the super chat. Heavy Bells says, hey, Phil, wondering what happened to your PRS Semi-Hollow special. It got kidnapped. No. Were you a fan of it, or did you end up parting ways before demo review? So these are the questions. Heavy Bells, this is an interesting thing. When somebody, because I get asked this a lot about guitars all the time. Like, hey, whatever happened to this guitar? I actually don't get rid of very many guitars. I think percentage-wise, there's so many guitars a cycle through a gear channel. So much stuff. I mean, just like I said, I'm like buying a guitar for the channel. There's companies sending guitars to the channel. Some's on loan and just immediately it's gone the next day. Some, they give it to you, but you're like, I don't really going to use it. So let's sell it and get that money into the channel and get something else on the channel kind of thing, right? But realistically, like anything I'm buying for myself personally, like that guitar, it's usually not going anywhere. The reality though is this is my office. This is what we call it I call it the office because this is where I edit videos and do the podcast, and I'll do the play samples here. So there's another place for guitars. This does have a closet full of guitars, though. I have, we call it the racks. I don't know if I have a picture. I don't know how to show you. I can show you guys. Look at this. Okay. Look at this. All right. I'm going to get up for a second because, believe it or not, my house has sensors. All my lights are on sensors. So you walk in a room, they turn on, and they're on timers. It's because I live in a place where it's 118, so AC is very expensive. So everything in my house is LED, and everything is on timer sensors. The reason I tell you that is I got to walk into the closet to turn on the light. Okay, so I'm going to hold this camera like this and switch to it and see what you guys see. This is the closet next to me. These are the racks. Look, there's a guitar on the floor. So this, I built this out a while back. See, this is like literally, I'm holding this. See, there's a light. This is the lights in my face. See, if I got to be careful because I can't let you see my computer, but obviously there's sound panels in front of me. This is what's immediately to my left is what I'm showing you. So this, funny enough, that guitar is not in these racks. So sometimes when you see me say, oh, I gotta go, immediately to my left, there are two closets to my left, okay? And one closet is the guitar rack. We call it the racks. It's just it's where the guitars go. Then some guitars are in cases, very rare, and that guitar is in a case right now. Do I like it? I absolutely love the guitar. I absolutely love it. Should I do it? I don't know. You know, I feel like PRS gets the majority of the views on the channel. How do I say it? I buy PRSs because I like PRSs. I buy the Flaxwood guitar. I buy, Gibsons all the time. I buy guitars. I'm a guitar freak like you guys. I assume you guys are freaks like me. I buy guitars. But some cases, which PRS is one of those, PRS has sold or got some kind of benefit from putting guitars on this channel. So they send guitars. So because PRS is one of the few companies that send guitars, I know you guys see the channel. Everybody always thinks that it's, you guys always think that tons of guitars are being sent to the channel. If you look at my content, the majority of it is not sponsored. Anyways, my point is that's why when I buy a PRS for myself, I tend to not do a video of it because they've sent so many PRSs throughout the year. I kind of feel like I've had enough PRSs on the channel. I don't really need to add any more PRSs. So there you go. So, all right. You guys all talking about? It's funny. All right. Oh, see, you know what I love? Billa. He says it costs like 2 cents to run an LED bulb for 24 hours. It does, but I don't need lights on all the time. So I have sensors on them. It's just because why do you need a light in your closet on? It's great because you walk in your closet. Look, so you can't go back. Once you I set up the bathrooms in my house, all the bathrooms and all the closets are set up that when you walk in them, they come on timers. And as long as there's movement, they stay on. Any kind of movement, and then when there's no movement, they turn off. So I don't have to. I don't have to go. Oh, who left the bathroom light on? Or oh, I came upstairs and I'm like, oh, I left the closet light on. So it's just a nice. It's just nice. And then, like I said, we switched everything to LED for cost effectiveness. Again, I don't know where you all live, but I have a 2-story house, and because I have a 2-story house, I have 2 AC units. Okay. It's just how it works. And 2 AC units in Arizona is a lot of electricity, man. It's a lot. So I don't care if I save 2 cents or not. I'll save a penny on electricity. I'll save anything because the rates are only go up. It's like water and electricity are really tough in the desert. So Heavy Bells, to answer your question, I still have it. I still love it. I just never did a video of it. Because I just did a PRS video this week because they sent that PRS. So it's like, how do I How do I justify the time to show another PRS? Greg says, hey, Phil, aesthetics aside, is there any science, art, mojo, BS to matching necks to bodies or hiring guitars? I'm not a Tonewood snob, but some axes just sing. I really believe in the chaos of guitar building. Just the right guitar, the right day, the right wood, the right temperature, the right pickups, and it's personal. But here's what's funny. I really have noticed two things. One, it's not so easy to predict. Like, I know they all do. It's one of the holes, the irony in the Tonewood debate, okay, and the argument behind it, this Tonewood thing, which is not what we're talking about, but we're talking about this concept of replicating, the idea that somebody can make a guitar the same over and over again. We all know it's not true, right? It's like when somebody says, oh, I saw somebody, they made a guitar out of a pallet, and somebody makes a guitar out of just stringing strings across like an aisleway, and they're like, oh, it's a guitar. I'm like, well, yeah, but I mean, it's not, I'm not going to have a special moment with a pallet and a guitar. Like, I just don't, maybe I will, but I don't think so, right? It doesn't have to be expensive or nice. It just has to, you just, the way it feels. It's just there's a way to bond to the instrument is not so easy, is what I'm trying to get at. So I don't know if you could specifically say, oh, if I match this neck, I've heard it all the time. Like, hey, if you match this neck to this body, you do this combination. I think those can net some great results, but I don't think they're a guarantee of anything. But I will tell you, I will tell you this, and this is the worst thing for a guitar collector to hear. And I'm a guitar collector, but it's the worst thing, but it's the truth. It's the highest truth that I've seen in my life repairing guitars. The longer you're with a guitar, the longer you bond to it. And then all of a sudden, you think it's special when it's really just familiar. And there is something to that. I've said this before. I have a couple guitars in my collection. If you notice, I'm like, I've had them this whole time. They're not going anywhere. There's some nice guitars I've acquired over the years being a YouTuber. And yet these guitars still stay in the collection because they have so much time. Me and them have spent so much time together. They're like a pet. They're like a friend. They're familiar. And I find that is more powerful than anything. Because like I said it once with a guitar I was just recently speaking about, where I said there's a guitar, I just love to play it, and it has some problems and some faults, but the pluses are so good, and I've done it for so long that I just don't care what the negatives are. So, couple questions. Oh, Gotologist, hey, what's up? He said, he's asking, what amp is this? Okay, so this is an Amplified Nation amp. So, I had Taylor Cox, the owner of Amplified Nation, on the channel. He did a podcast. And he sent a ton of amps over the years, and we've done tons of amps. And from that, I was like, okay, I know what amp I want. I know what is the perfect amp for me from Amplified Nation. And I said, hey, I want to do one, but I want it in like neon blue. They call it something else, but I call it neon blue because it reminds me of John Mayer. Neon, like the song Neon. And I did a matching 212 cabinet with greenbacks in it. I was going to demo this amp today on the show. This is what was going to happen. And then at the last minute, I decided to use the Jason Becker guitar. And you can imagine this guitar and that amp, that's not like, it didn't seem like the right so I went with the Engel Steve Morris. I was like, oh, that's the amp that you match with the guitar. So I had to it's like I was curating the today's video. Like, I got to find the right bottle of wine to go with the steaks, right? You're like, okay, so this is what it was. So I will be showing that next week, and I'll be doing a standalone video too, and why I like it and what it is all about. So I'm really a big fan of the Amplified Nations. As you guys know, I'm a really big fan now of, I think the future of guitar amps, and I know it's getting tired to hear me say this, is hand-wired, high-end, quality amps. And hand-wired is not explicit, like it doesn't have to be hand-wired, but you get the idea. I think soon it's going to be high-end amps and technology and nothing in between. So what I mean by that is I don't think you're going to see a lot of affordable tube amps because obviously there's too many things happening at one time. You have the surge in tube prices. You have the unavailability and consistency of tubes being a disaster. So that eventually that has its biggest hardship on the low price amps. You have like the old days, like I remember going with my mom to take our vacuum to get cleaned. Or not cleaned. Yeah, we took our vacuum to get cleaned. No, to get fixed. We took our vacuum cleaner to go get fixed. It's like find a vacuum cleaner repairman now. So I think you see it now. You see a lot of the amp repair guys, they don't want to fix the junky amps, right? And no one will pay them. Who's going to pay somebody, who's going to pay somebody a decent amount of money to fix an amp that they paid $250 for, $300 for? So I think what's going to happen is musicians are going to start embracing the technology aspect, whether that's the Kempers or the Axe effects, or more importantly, which is what I said 3 years ago on somebody's podcast. I said, they were talking about, do you think that the Kemper, the Axe effects, you think the next iterations are going to be so good? Finally, it's just going to, the holdouts, the tube snobs are going to go with them. I go, no, that is not how I think this is going to go. I do not think technology is going to get better. I think it's going to get cheaper. And look at what's happened with the Quad Cortex having a lesser expensive model. Look at lesser expensive stuff. Look at the Tonex. Is exactly what I was saying. I'm like, no, what's going to happen is I go, was it Bill Gates? And I could be messing this up. Just a quote that I heard that I'm probably going to mess up. But I think there was a story about how, something about how they had sold a $1,000 computer to every single person in America they could sell a $1,000 computer to. And they're like, okay, so the next plan is to sell a $500 computer to everybody who has $500. In other words, their brain wasn't like, we're going to make the computer even better. We're like, we're going to make these good computers even cheaper so everybody can get one. I think that's what's going to happen, or that's what's happening with the modeling technology, which is why you see musicians, Grammy-winning artists, just using a laptop and plugins, right, and making albums with it. So I think that's where I said, I think everything's going to divide up into this, like, if you want an amp, it's going to be like why you listen to a record versus streaming it on your MP3 or your iTunes or whatever. It's you're there to have a personal experience with something, and to me, the digital stuff is function. It's just it's tools. So I really think that I told Taylor Cox that. I think I said that in his video too, with his podcast with him. I said I think this is where it goes, and I think I like Dave Friedman's amps. I liked Taylor Cox's Amplified Nation amps. I like these amps a lot. And they're expensive. And I'll tell you how I'm justifying it. I've been selling off all my other amps. Notice you don't see a whole lot of amps in these rooms. There's not really a secret pile of amps. You guys see in some shelving units in some of the videos, but there's not as many amps as you think. I've probably gotten rid of half and plan to get rid of a bunch more and just get down to a few choice, just really beautiful amplifiers that I love having a moment with, and then I'm using digital like everybody else to get the job done. So that's just my thoughts. That's just my thoughts. Who the hell knows, for the sake of it? But that I think it's always nice to kind of pontificate on what you think the future is going to be. And I have to tell you, man, if you guys haven't, as you guys know, I'm working on a record because I want to, copyright the music, which is what you heard today as one of my songs, copyright the music on my videos so I don't have to get copyright strikes for playing other people's music. Man, it's like when you're recording this stuff, it's like I'm a gear channel. So there's a part of me, it's like, I got to mic I got to use the real amp. I got to mic it up. But meanwhile, I'm in the plugins going, it sounds so good and perfect right there. Why am I messing with this? So, all right. We got to keep going. Chromo, I have no idea. Chromosomed. I'm sorry, buddy. He says, hey, Phil, do you think there will be tariffs on import guitars one day? I have no idea. I think, I thought there's tariffs now on stuff. Isn't there tariffs now on stuff? I'm, again, not really into the tariffs, fall into more the politics of things than anything else. What I will tell you, and at the question where I can talk about, because I understand and I maybe have a passion about this, is when it comes to the import goods. What I will tell you is that I just wish more people would educate themselves on what import goods are. And that is my look. I'm not here. I'm never going to advocate or promote or talk politics or sports. Like I said, I'm not going to tell you who my favorite team is because I don't have one. I'm not going to tell you who my favorite politician is because I don't have one. But what I am going to tell you is that, this label slapping of manufacturer, I wish people would educate themselves more on it. And if you are educated on it, great. If you not, learn more. What I mean by this is something says, oh, it's made in China. You're like, okay. And then I'll make a video of that. And people will say, Phil, I can't believe you made something made in China. How can you promote it? And I go, well, first of all, that's their mistake. They think I'm a marketing channel. I'm not a marketing channel. I don't get money. There's no commission structure here for them. If I do a video of this guitar and they sell 50 of them, I get money, for the sales. I don't really care if they sell guitars or not. You guys say it all the time in the videos, like, they're going to sell out. That doesn't matter to me. If anything, that actually bums you out because I'm like, oh, they sold a gazillion guitars and I either did the video for free or I got paid very little. So I'm not really into so I'm not a marketing company. The reason why I review Amazon cheap Chinese guitars and the reason why I review high-end guitars is because if I present all guitars in the same way, you can decide. You can decide what you want to do with your money and your time. I'm just giving you the information. But what I find is interesting is that when people say, I don't buy made in China, I'm like, great. But you bought a guitar that said made in Indonesia and they were using all Chinese parts. And believe it or not, they're not the only, the United States is not the only country in the world that takes all the Chinese parts, assembles it, and then says assembled in USA. They do it other places too. I was in Germany. I may have told the story before, but it was really eye-opening. I was in Germany. I was at a distribution center, one of the largest distribution centers in Germany. Not the largest, so it wasn't Thomann, but it was one of the largest. And I was there working, doing some stuff, and I was eating lunch, and they came in the room. I remember the guy was named Philip. His same name as me. One of the guys named Philip, the other guy. And they said, hey, do you have a moment? I know you're eating. Do you have a moment? We want to show you something. And I said, yeah. And they showed me 3 springs. Okay. You know the 3 springs that go on the back of your tremolo, right? These 3 springs right here. There's a pack of 3 springs. They said, could you tell us what you think of these? Remember, it's just in a package. It was a blister pack. If you guys don't know what that looks like G.I. Joe packaging, just a card and then the plastic, clear plastic. I was eating and I held it up and I looked at it and I said, oh, they're good. And they both sighed, like shocked. They're like, how do you know it's good? And I go, made in Japan. And they go, but it's not made in Japan. I go, it says made in Japan on the package. They go, I know, we get this from a company. They make them in China and they put made in Japan on the packaging. And I'm like, oh, well, that doesn't sound right. And they go, we don't understand why they did it. We don't understand. We're like, why are they doing this? And I go, well, because if it says made in Japan, it means it's good. And they're like, why would it be good if it's made in Japan? And I'm like, and then I feel like a crazy person. I was like, well, like in music gear, it's like America is the best. And then then Japan. Right? And then I'm like, made in Germany, right? Then I'm like, made in Mexico. Oh yeah, Canada's in there. I was stair-stepping this ideology. Made in Indonesia or Korea, then Indonesia, then China, then it was like, Vietnam. And I was like, and by the way, this isn't my personal views. This is just the industry as a whole seems to process like this. And they were in literally shock. They go, this is our number 1 selling SKU. And I'm like, oh. And they go, and they're junk. And I'm like, oh, well, that's because everybody thinks they're good because they say made in Japan. And they're like, yeah, you didn't even open the package. They were like mad at me. Not mad, but they were disappointed. They're like, you didn't even look at the package. I'm like, I didn't need to. If it's made in Japan, they're good springs. My point is, what I notice all the time is that you need to obviously do what's right for you. I will present all the information I can as fairly as I can. But I always tell people when it comes to import stuff, what I've learned is that most import stuff is not 100% honest. Like whatever they're saying is not 100% honest. I even did a video on my other channel where I talked about this. What I learned reviewing, basically 1,000 different guitars made in China was that Other than just recently, which came out after that video, which was Eastman Guitars. That Eastman Guitars is the very first main China guitar where when I did the deep dive on it, what was in it is what they said. So that's my whole point. I don't know. But like I said, it's just for me. I just find when I see the comment sections in my videos all the time, as soon as I always say where everything's made in the videos. I try to, because again, I'm giving all the information. This is what it costs. This is where it's made. This is what it's made out of. Again, these are just the information. My opinion's irrelevant as far as I'm concerned. The information is relevant. And I find as soon as you say made in so-and-so, it doesn't matter where, everybody's got an opinion about that. And I'm like, yeah, but most of those opinions they're not based on anything. Like me, they're based on a packaging or an idea or a statement. So like I said, don't be shocked if you find yourself buying stuff that you think is not made somewhere and find out later that it was pretty much made there. That's my point. Cat's Music Journey says, I've been working on a spring reverb pedal I'm putting together, just trying to combine some kits into a reverb circuit. Soldering has been going so much faster since the show started. Oh, thanks. And he put a little beer emoji. I don't know why I'm holding this for a beer. I don't know. What is a beer? This is holding like a beer, right? So there you go. That's good. I love it. I love hearing that people take up soldering. Soldering is one of to me, is the most basic skill that I think everybody should have. And all of us were robbed. And I say all of us, everybody under the age of 50, I'm just throwing a number, was robbed because we went to school and they didn't teach us those things anymore. I didn't learn that stuff in school. Some of you guys probably did. I grew up in Tucson, Arizona, TUSC school district. They had no wood shop, no metal shop, no auto shop. My electives were drama, cooking, which they didn't teach you how to cook. The cooking, drama, art class, I think it says, whatever the cheap ones was. So I love sharing the stuff that a lot of us were robbed of. I have to tell you, when I joined the Army, I took the ASVAB, and what I've learned is that, in my opinion, whatever they need is what, ironically, you're good at. As long as your test is okay, right? As long as you can test. In other words, they're like, oh, you got a really good aptitude for this. You're like, I do? And when I went in, they were like, you have a really good mechanical aptitude. You could become a mechanic. And I was like, I had never done anything in my life, mechanical, or worked on anything, and school gave me no opportunities. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, oh. And what I've learned since then is, yeah, I do. And I actually love working with my hands. And, but it was robbed from me. So if I could give that to anyone, that's the best compliment I can ever get. If you guys remember, I did a video where one of the viewers, Melissa, I had StuMax send her a kit and of tools and stuff. And I said, just, oh, by the way, so Eugene he says, were you in the Air Force? No, I was in the Army. Too dumb for the Air Force. But, hey, it was, I like being in the Army. I'm very proud of it. But anyways, my point was, Melissa, my favorite story ever, which isn't in the video, and I feel horrible not putting in the video. So I sent her the tools, and I remember she reached out to me and she said, okay, I'm going to do this work on this guitar. She goes, I got to tell you, I don't have a problem with it, but I'm a little concerned about the soldering iron. And I remember being afraid to tell her to do anything she's uncomfortable with. It's like, it's that moment where, like, look, I don't need this person to get hurt, or I don't need anything bad to happen so I can get a video on YouTube and make hundreds of dollars. Right. But also, I really wanted this video because I knew it was going to help people. And I didn't want to put pressure on her to say, like, do it anyways. And I didn't know what to say. And it dawned on me, her day job, she's a 911 operator. And I just remember talking to her and I said, hey, you want to hear something funny? And she said, what? And I said, if you burn yourself with your soldering iron, like if you touch your hand on it, she's like, yeah. And I go, you don't even call 911. I go, I'm not saying it's not dangerous, but it ain't call 911 dangerous. All right. And she goes, and then she had a moment. She's like, yeah, no one's ever called us and said, oh yeah, I just burnt my hand on the soldering iron. What do I do? She's like, oh, you put some ointment on it, rinse it up, get cool water and ice on it. And I think that's what gave her the strength to do that. And what I love about that video is that video is as honest as she filmed everything. That's literally legit. They sent her the tools. I refused to do any contact with her and show her anything. She just watched my videos on YouTube. She did the repairs herself. That video is up there for you to watch. And what was great is that's my point is, man, I was just like her at one time. I was afraid of soldering irons. So I was like, oh no, this thing could hurt me. Like I didn't have, because that moment in school, God, I feel like I've just told stories today. I apologize. But I just feel like that moment in school that I really wish I got robbed from was, I wish I had a shop teacher who missed a finger who could tell me like, this is how you use a saw and don't hurt yourself. And I'd be like, oh, and then I wouldn't be afraid of saws. But for so much time, I was afraid of those tools because I was like, oh, you didn't know how to use them. So thank you for that feedback. Thank you for taking the time to tell me that you're doing that stuff because I think it's great. Like I said, fixing stuff is the best feeling in the world, in my opinion. Okay, maybe being a parent. Okay, being a parent is the best feeling in the world, then fixing stuff. But being a parent's kind of like fixing stuff. The Slick Nick says, hey, Phil, what's your opinion on the Gotoh GE 1997T locking trim? Oh my goodness, I got to look this up. Is that the regular trim? I never even thought to know the numbers. I only know the Gotoh 510 because they put it in everything. Yes, that's the Gotoh I like. The Gotoh GE. He said 1997 T. I don't know. I always see the 1996 T. All Gotoh trims. Oh, so that's the 7-string. Nope, it's not the 7-string. I don't know the answer. When I Google search it, it's pulling up the 1996 T, not the 1997. So I'm not aware of a 1997, but I would imagine it's good because let me tell you what I like about Gotoh, and it'll just help you. Gotoh has one tier of quality. Okay? That is very rare. So, even in parts companies, most parts companies today, maybe one day wasn't true, but today have multiple layers of quality. Some of that quality is they'll make lower grade quality only for manufacturers like OEMs, and then good quality for us. That's common. But some will do multiple layers. Gotoh has one layer of quality. They're a family-owned business. They make everything in Japan. There is no, this is their made in China version, and this is their made in, whatever version, and this is the lower grade metal, and this is the high grade. It's just all Gotoh. So Gotoh, to me, is, for now, is a safe bet. If you haven't heard the horror stories, everybody's got them. Kiesel's got them, everybody, which is basically when if Gotoh won't compromise on quality. So if they don't have the correct materials, you sit and wait. They're just out of stock until they get the right materials. So that's why I love being able to say that about companies. Like String Swing's another company. It's like there's a very few short list of companies where I can say, just go, get that. I trust it. If you have a bad experience, it's a fluke upon a fluke upon a fluke. So Gotoh's good stuff. Mark says, someone said, dad joke. Okay. What do you say to a drummer wearing a suit? Will the defendant please rise? Yeah. Nice. I liked it. Okay. Justin Stokes says, hey, why doesn't Gibson make more all satin guitars? I love my Les Paul Tribute, which I think they're discontinued. Yeah, my understanding is the Tribute series discontinued. Now, I think that's because they probably have to redo some adjustments now that those new studios are lower priced and a little higher quality. But I don't know why. I have no idea. I don't know why Gibson does anything they do, good or bad. But I agree with you. I like the satin stuff too. I wish they would do more of it. Mr. S says, do you, Phil, leave the tuner on? Beato can kick rocks. Yeah, you know what? I like Rick Beato a lot. I don't know why. I do. I just like his channel. He's one of the few YouTubers for me where I can't say I have a relationship with him. I've met him once for a moment. I said something dumb. He looked really perplexed at my stupidity. I'm not making this up, right? Anyways, but the reason I say that is because a lot of YouTube channels, I know them personally and I've met them and I've talked to them. And so through that personal response, I know them and I watch their content in a different way, kind of like as a friend. So I can recommend them to you. Beato is one of the few channels where I don't know him, but I like his channel because I constantly find stuff to watch. I'm constantly like, he comes in my feed and I'm like, yeah, I watched the interview or I watched something and I learned something from him a lot, and I know that because he's up high, he's on the pedestal, everybody wants to knock him down a peg. I can understand that. But on that note, he's just a dude on the internet. So he's flawed like everyone else. So it's, what's my point? That's my point. But yes, yeah, I know. But what I'm saying is that because he said they look stupid on headstocks, that's why people are constantly bugging me saying that my tuner looks stupid on my headstock. So my Rick Beato story, is I was at an event, at a YouTuber event. It was a private YouTuber event. So it was like whatever. And at one point in the day, I was at, again, lunch. No wonder I'm fat. I'm like, half my stories are me at lunch. I never realized it before. I might have to think my life choices. Anyways, I was at lunch at a table. Sitting at the table was Robert, who owns the other half of, he's the other half of Friedman Amps. RJ Rinquillo was there. Who else was sitting at the table? Rhett Shaw was there. I'm not name dropping. I'm just trying to paint the scene for you. And probably two other people, somewhere like that. So a couple of YouTubers, right? Things. And Rick Beato. He had just sat down. We were eating, midday, in between takes and footage and stuff. And I said something to because I'm like I said, I think humility is a quality. So I was saying something to RJ and I said, well, I know what it was. Rick Beato asked everybody at the table, what makes a professional musician? What makes a professional musician? And I think Rhett said they make money. And I said, yeah, I said the same thing. And Rick wasn't looking for an answer. He was just curious, right? And he says more. Fast Freddy says more salads. I was actually eating salad that day, so you know. Okay, so anyways, my point is, this is the discussion. They're talking about what makes a professional musician, right? And they're all talking and stuff. And then I went on a tirade about playing to your strengths. I said, well, you should play to your strengths. I said, I repair things for so long, so my strengths are I can give insight into what I've fixed or what I look for, and that's where I focus my videos. I said something to like RJ, obviously he plays so great, obviously he's going to really play the guitar and demonstrate the guitar. I said, I minimize my play time on the videos because my strengths are in the information. And then Rick Beato goes, why don't you practice more? He didn't say it mean. He just said it like I hadn't thought of that. And I was like, yeah, no, I said, because I'm a bass player and I don't care. I think I said that actually to be funny. But my point was, that was my one interaction. That's my one Rick Beato story. That was it. That's my entire conversation with Rick Beato ever. There you go. All right. Eugene says, I only buy guitars when my wife is on vacation. 19 guitars now, but each new one, it becomes more difficult to tell I snuck in one more. I will tell you this best piece of advice I can give you ever, Eugene, for your super chat. I am going to tell you this. People will have different opinions. I'm telling you, what I'm telling you now is a fact. It is a absolute fact. Undeniable, unquestionable. Very few things I will ever say on this show that is as powerful and as important as what I'm about to tell you right now. Wives, do not count guitars. They count guitar cases. I promise you, for every 1 in a million people that is going to tell me my wife does, your wife, that is a unique scenario. I am telling you, even when you think they're either lying to you, which is possible, or they don't know the answer themselves. But let me tell you something. Your wife walks in a room and sees your little sideways rack of guitars in the wall. They don't care. They see them all decorated on the wall like some kind of weird, obsessive, compulsive person sticking stuff on the walls. I mean, right? They don't care. They go in the closet and they see a stack of these ugly black cases just stacking to the ceilings, shoved. And if you've got 19 guitars and you live in a moderate house like most of us, trust me, your cases are shoved everywhere. They're in your closet, they're in the garage, they're under the bed, they're everywhere. That's what they hate, which is why I don't have cases. Notice my guitars were in racks. I keep a few cases. How I do cases, and I've said this before, is how I do it. If a guitar is on the fence, like I got the guitar, I'm not falling in love with it yet, I don't know what's keeping it, I wrap the case, it goes in the attic. That's it. It just sits. And then what happens is, once I know I'm keeping the guitar, I get rid of the case. I sell the case because I'm like, I don't need it. I have gig bags. I have a few cases. I have a couple universal cases and a bunch of gig bags where I can take any of these guitars with me anywhere, and I'm fine. The only time I'm going to need cases for all these guitars is if I move all these guitars at one time. Everybody, make your decisions based on how you want to make your decisions. But reason why I'm telling you this to be true, not because of my theory with my wife. My wife doesn't care what I buy when it comes to guitars. That's the benefit of making a living with guitars for 20 years. She could tell you right now, anybody who goes, what do you think of these guitars? She's like, I like all the bills are paid and it seems to come from guitars. So she's like, I don't care. My point is, that's what I learned 13 years, one by one, selling guitars, one person every day, and watching the reaction of their spouses. It seemed to be always connected to the case. I promise you. So it's the cases. So stick more guitars in your house and less cases, and I bet you they won't even mention it. By the way, cases are only one step worse than amplifiers. So that's why a lot of amps are problematic too. So you gotta just take that information for what it's worth, Eugene. 19 guitars. Make sure you have 5 cases. If you have to go get a little storage shed somewhere and pay, $300 a year, it's probably worth it. Just shove cases in your storage shed. Get them out of the house. They'll trust me. I promise you. That's what they're focused on. TJL says, hey Phil, will you be doing a review of the Epiphone DG335? Let me look. So it's not on my current schedule, but so we have a bunch of spots to fill in for the last part of the year. Oh, that's the David Grohl guitar? No, it's not in my no. But thank you for mentioning it and super chatting, and like I said, that's how stuff gets on the radar to put it in there. Maybe it's worth doing. Because again, if you're interested, other people are interested, means somebody will watch it. If you guys watch it, I can get paid doing it. That's good. And like I said, that means I can get it on the channel. Let's not, before we end the channel, because I didn't get to Amanda's questions and stuff, but before we do it, let's do the second giveaway. The second giveaway is for Mike. So Mike sent this picture. It's a great picture, Mike. Why I love this picture is, he's just sitting there in candlelight playing his guitar. Okay. And I don't know why. Dude, this actually, of all the pictures sent to me, this is one of those pictures where this is what and so I'm telling you, Mike, thank you for this picture. This is what I think happens the second the show ends in like next 2-3 minutes when the show ends. I picture everyone who's watching, all 1,000 of you, it ends, and then you pick up the guitars and you start playing and you play guitar. And I just love how intimate this is. I love just sitting, you got your guitar, you got the candles going. I think that's a Blues Junior behind you. It looks nice. Just playing guitar, enjoying. Thanks to the picture. Not all the pictures had to be funny or special or crazy, out the door. This picture was just, a great picture, Mike. So thanks for sending it. Like I said, thank you all for sending these pictures. I would love it if we give every single person who sends a picture a prize. So we have a good percentage. It's not half. I wish it was half. We got a surge of pictures at some point in the middle of this contest. I can't tell you for sure, so please don't hold me to it like on a legal way. Like that's what he said in episode. I'm pretty sure 30 to 35% of you are going to get prizes based on how many pictures we have. So it's a good number. It's a good percentage. Because like I said, what we have planned is not only are we giving away the pictures 2 a week like we did 4 last week, and keep doing them. But also at some point when we do just a randomizer, we're going to be picking 5, 10 of you at a time and giving you prizes. And those prices, so they won't be the as expensive, but they'll be legit prices. They'll be legit stuff you want, from the same companies and a decent value. So again, I just like doing this. It's fun to see it's good to see the community in a personal way. And I appreciate that. And thank you guys so much for sending pictures. It's awesome. You guys are the best. On that note, I'm going to go timestamp this show. I always say I'm going to go, but really what's going to happen now is I'm going to watch the whole thing you just watched and timestamp it. So on that note, thank you guys so much. And you guys have a great week. I will see you on this show next week, and then I'll have some videos coming out the next week too. All right, guys. Thank you for your time. Know your gear.
The Know Your Gear podcast. Today's episode of the Know Your Gear podcast is brought to you by Patreon members, channel members, and viewers who like and subscribe. Thank you for making this possible.